Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're giving you an inside look into our world at Pratimoksha, Dubai's premier yoga studio. We're going to be talking about the real, lifelong journey of a yoga teacher. And honestly, it's a journey that goes way, way beyond that initial certification. So, whether you're an instructor looking to level up your craft or a student who just wants to know the standard you absolutely deserve, understanding what goes on behind the mat is crucial.
Let's kick things off with a piece of wisdom from our founder, Lalitha Viswanath. This thought literally anchors everything we do here. She often says that the certificate that gets a teacher into the classroom, well, it never expires. But what decays quietly and much faster is the competence behind it. Now, don't get me wrong, a 200-hour training is a massive commitment. The confidence you get from it is very real. But that piece of paper, it needs constant, active nourishment.
I mean, think about how other fields operate when there are real physical consequences. You wouldn't want a doctor practicing on you with decades-old knowledge, right? It's the same here. Just like the Dubai Sports Council requires fitness pros to maintain active qualifications to prevent injuries, we view yoga instruction with that exact same level of rigorous, life-and-death respect. Holding a starting credential is just not the same thing as staying actively licensed and capable.
So to maintain that active standard, Yoga Alliance built some very specific requirements into their framework. First up, every 3 years, a registered yoga teacher has to log 45 hours of actual active teaching. You've got to physically be in the room, guiding bodies, and continually honing your craft. But teaching isn't enough on its own. Alongside that active time, they also need to log 30 hours of continuing education. And this means taking dedicated coursework that introduces something genuinely new to their practice. We're not just talking about repeating the foundational stuff they already know.
Here's the crucial takeaway, though. Hitting those numbers, it should never be about checking a bureaucratic box or doing the bare minimum. At Pratimoksha, we strongly believe these hours are the vital lifeblood of a growing practice. It's your opportunity to actually maximize your potential to heal and guide people.
Section 1. The Quiet Decay, where teaching goes stale. Let's look at what happens when a teacher relies purely on their old certification.
You know, in our experience at the studio, the most common reason a teacher fails isn't laziness, it's comfort. It is so easy to build a few sequences that fill a room, and eventually that just becomes their whole vocabulary. You might notice it yourself, like a teacher repeating the exact same 3 cues for a pose, no matter who's in the room. Or maybe they only offer modifications when someone specifically asks, rather than anticipating the need. Sometimes you'll even see them relying heavily on playlists and dim lighting to create a vibe because the sequence itself has just gone totally stale. Now, to be fair, a teacher showing these signs isn't necessarily terrible. They might lead a perfectly fine class, but the issue is they've stopped being a student, and that completely contradicts the core philosophy of yoga. Honestly, you just can't teach a philosophy of growth if you yourself are no longer growing.
Moving on to Section 2, Dubai's Unique Teaching Challenge. This is a really fascinating point about our local environment.
Living and working here in Dubai, we see how the environment can actually mask that quiet decay we just talked about. Our community turns over incredibly fast because so much of the population is transient. In spots like downtown Dubai or Business Bay, a studio's student roster might completely refresh every 18 months. Because of that rapid turnover, there's rarely any long-term institutional memory to hold a teacher accountable if they never change up their sequences.
Lalitha brings us up to our team all the time, and it's such a striking reality check. Because there's no built-in accountability, continuing education has to be a deliberate, conscious choice. Experience does not automatically equal growth. As she puts it, if you've been teaching the exact same class for a decade in Aud Metha without taking a new training, you don't have 10 years of skill. You have 1 year of knowledge repeated 10 times.
Okay, Section 3. Lalitha Viswanath's teaching philosophy and real continuing education. Let's see how we actively fight that stagnation.
As we constantly emphasize at Pratimoksha, staying current simply means staying safe. Science doesn't stand still. Our understanding of human anatomy, injury prevention, and teaching methods is always evolving. Taking your education seriously means diving into new approaches for joint safety in aging bodies, or maybe updating your knowledge on how breath impacts the nervous system.
And this is perfectly reflected in Lalitha's own 19+ years in the industry. Her decades of experience were never about repeating a static curriculum. Not at all. They were spent constantly, and yeah, sometimes uncomfortably, revising her approach as her understanding deepened over time. That right there, that's the gold standard we uphold.
So, we operate on a pretty simple premise.
A teacher who learned under Lalitha's approach during their initial certification should absolutely not be teaching the exact same class 5 years down the line. Sometimes real continuing education just means putting your ego aside, rolling out your mat in someone else's class, and remembering exactly what it feels like to be the student again.
Section 4. The next deliberate step, RYT 500. Let's look at the ultimate path for those truly serious about their craft. For instructors looking for a structured, rigorous way to deepen their skills, our RYT 500 credential provides exactly that path. It's a heavy commitment, for sure. It requires real advancement in anatomy, a deep dive into complex sequencing, and a radical elevation of your overall teaching methodology. But if you're serious about your craft, it is worth infinitely more than just doing the bare minimum.
At the end of the day, continuing education isn't really about satisfying a 3-year renewal deadline. It's about staying totally honest with yourself. Whether you taught your first class yesterday or you've been doing this for 20 years, ensuring your practice is alive, evolving, and actually responsive to your students, well, that's the ultimate mark of a premium instructor.
So, as you reflect on your own journey on the mat, or maybe consider starting a conversation with us at Pratimoksha about your own continuing education, I want to leave you with this final, vital question from Lalitha. Is the person teaching under your certificate still growing? That piece of paper will always be valid, but your growth, that's a choice you have to make every single day. Thanks for hanging out with us for this explainer, and we really look forward to seeing you on the mat, ready to learn.